In the mid-70s, DC published a short comic series called Batman Family. Among its issues, there was a continuous storyline involving Batgirl and Robin teaming up to face a series of characters. These characters were revealed to be the daughters of Batman's foes. Ultimately, it was revealed that these mysterious figures were actually Duella Dent, the daughter of Harvey Dent, Two-Face. She later adopted the identity of Joker's daughter, eventually becoming Harlequin in the Teen Titans. This story takes Duella's use of masks in a new direction. In the last 2 weeks, Robin had been dealing with a series of female troublemakers who, while not committing any serious crimes, had caused chaos and civil disorder. Despite his best efforts, Robin couldn't pinpoint the source of these disturbances. What struck him as odd was that each of the women seemed to be dressed and behaving as if they were the daughters of Batman's old enemies. After consulting Batgirl and reviewing historical records, Robin deduced that it was impossible for the Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, or Riddler to have had daughters around the same time. Someone, it seemed, was playing the part of these daughters for reasons unknown. Batgirl came to see Robin after their phone call, eager to learn what was going on. Based on Robin's descriptions, she feared that someone might start to believe she was Batman's daughter, which she had worked hard to avoid. Over the years, Batgirl had repeatedly battled rumors of being romantically involved with Batman. Being older than Robin, it was more likely she would be interested in him, but that notion never seemed to catch on. In fact, Batgirl and Robin had shared many moments over the years, though neither had dared to reveal their true identities, making it hard to form a deeper connection. Robin gave Batgirl a more detailed briefing on the incidents. One thing he hadn't shared earlier was an important detail from his encounter with Catwoman's daughter. During their confrontation, Robin had grabbed her by the hair, and, to his surprise, her hair, mask, and cowl came off, revealing none other than Joker's daughter. This was the first clue that led Robin to suspect that one person might be behind the trouble he had been facing. They discussed whether any of these daughters could be actual children of Batman's enemies, perhaps emerging to make their presence known to the younger generation. Batgirl pointed out that the known history of the Joker, Riddler, Penguin, and Catwoman made it extremely unlikely that any of them had children around the time Robin was born. The women Robin had encountered seemed to be late teenagers, all around the same age. Robin confided that each of these women seemed to be deliberately provoking feelings of attraction. Batgirl reassured him, telling him not to let it affect him. She had faced similar challenges working with Batman and Robin over the years. When Robin asked if she was referring to their criminal enemies, Batgirl laughed, saying she meant their own team. Robin blushed, but before things could get awkward, an alert came in from the police about a disturbance at the shopping mall. Robin quickly responded, saying he would be on his way, with Batgirl joining him. Both Robin and Batgirl had their own motorcycles, and soon, they were racing down the road toward the mall. With strobe lights flashing, their bikes weaved through traffic, catching the attention of onlookers. Robin, in his signature red, yellow, and green outfit, stood out with his yellow cape flapping behind him. Batgirl, dressed in black with blue and yellow accents, was a bit harder to see due to the cloudy sky, but those who noticed her did a double take. Her costume clung tightly to her curves, with a long blue cape fastened to her seat to keep it from dragging on the ground. The two of them made quick work of the trip to the mall and soon arrived, parking their bikes next to a group of police cars blocking the east entrance. The officers still stationed at the cars and monitoring the radio gave Robin and Batgirl a rundown of what had happened so far. There was a young woman in a costume resembling penguins, causing trouble for mallgoers with strange umbrellas she carried in a pouch slung over her shoulder. Robin and Batgirl exchanged a look, and Robin told her that the time had come for her to meet the person they'd been discussing earlier. They entered the mall, batarangs at the ready. Navigating through the crowd, they soon heard their adversary before they saw her. In front of the Sears store, Penguin's daughter was cackling loudly as she sprayed a foul-smelling liquid on anyone who dared approach. When Penguin's daughter spotted the pair of crime fighters, she aimed her umbrella at them and said, "Well, it's about time I get to see you both working together." I was wondering when Robin would finally stop trying to catch me on his own and call for help. This was exactly the situation she had hoped for. She turned and ran, much faster than a penguin would, and Robin and Batgirl immediately gave chase. Once they saw her exit the building and jump into her car, they sprinted back to their motorcycles to follow her. She had a 1.5-mile head start, but it wasn't enough to increase the gap between them. Neither Robin nor Batgirl realized she was leading them into a trap. 10 minutes later, they saw Penguin's daughter pull into a driveway of a large house in a wealthy neighborhood. She had only been inside the house for 3 minutes when the pair arrived on their bikes. This gave her just enough time to execute her plan. Penguin's daughter had been preparing for this moment for weeks. Before starting her harassment campaign, she had secretly placed knockout gas bombs in the house's entryway. She slipped into a side room and waited for the door to open. As she waited, she removed her top hat and wig, and just as the door creaked open, she lifted her mask. She hit a hidden button, releasing a dozen canisters of knockout gas into the foyer. Robin and Batgirl had expected some sort of gimmick, but the gas was something neither had anticipated. They staggered to their knees, quickly succumbing to the effects and collapsing onto the floor. The woman who had been wearing the Penguin's daughter mask now shook out her shoulder-length brown hair, loosening it after being restrained in the mask for hours. Taking advantage of the time it would take for the gas to clear, she removed her entire costume. Beneath the bulk of the Penguin's daughter disguise was a slim figure with a well-defined chest and small waist. She slipped into a robe and made her way to the foyer to collect her spoils. Robin's unconscious form was heavier than Batgirl's, so she decided to move him first. Grabbing him under the armpits, she lifted him off the ground, dragging him into a bedroom she had prepared for him. Batgirl, being easier to handle, was picked up and brought into another bedroom, where she was laid on the floor. Batgirl's costume was carefully removed piece by piece and placed on the bed. The woman removed her robe and walked over to the dresser, which had been pre-stocked with everything she needed. Opening one of the drawers, she took out a mask that resembled Batgirl. She unzipped the back of the full-head mask and carefully put it on, zipping it up and smoothing out the latex. Next, she retrieved a shoulder-length red wig from the drawer. With it in place, she was a perfect twin of the unconscious Batgirl. The mask, made from an ultra-thin compound, molded to her face so perfectly that her smile showed right through, as if it were her own skin. Satisfied, she put on Batgirl's costume. The unconscious Batgirl was placed back on the bed, and another drawer was opened to reveal the Joker's daughter costume. This was the same outfit Robin had seen just 2 weeks earlier. She dressed Batgirl in the costume and pulled the mask over her head, securing it with a wig cap to hold up Batgirl's red hair. The mask, painted white with a harlequin design, made Batgirl look strikingly different, especially after the short green wig was added. Once her work was complete, the imposter left the new Joker's daughter on the bed, still unconscious. Batgirl returned to the room where she had left Robin, preparing to tackle the more difficult part of her plan. Once Robin's costume was completely removed, she dragged him into the adjacent bathroom. Using a sponge to protect her new gloves, Batgirl carefully applied a depilatory to Robin's entire body, below the neck. After waiting for 5 minutes, she turned on the tap and rinsed away the residue, revealing his now smooth skin. She toweled him off, which wasn't an easy task, before bringing him back into the bedroom. In this room, Batgirl opened a drawer to find a much more intricate costume waiting for her. She had known in advance that she would need more than what she had worn the week before to dress Robin. First, she put on a pair of panties, carefully tucking Robin's body and taping it in place. Next, she laced up a full torso corset, cinching it tightly to create a 19-inch waist. The top of the corset was padded with DD-sized silicone inserts, and Robin's figure was starting to look distinctly feminine. She pulled on a pair of glossy beige tights and then retrieved a tight black dress. The dress fit snugly at the top, accentuating the new curves, and was long, reaching just below the knees. It featured a slit up the right side, exposing part of the corset. The stretchy arms clung to Robin's form, and Batgirl finished the look with black opera-length gloves, which had clawed fingers, and knee-high black leather boots with 4-inch heels. The fit wasn't perfect, but that could be fixed soon enough. The final touch was the headpiece. Batgirl zipped up the back of the mask, then pulled a waist-length black wig over it. Finally, she placed the black cowl over Robin's head. With the transformation now complete, Batgirl felt a surge of confidence and moved on to the next part of her plan. She returned to the room where Joker's daughter was still lying unconscious. Batgirl waved smelling salts under her nose. As Joker's daughter's eyes fluttered open, she saw Batgirl standing in front of her. Her jaw dropped in surprise, but as she looked down, she saw the clothes she was wearing. When she looked back at Batgirl, ready to question what was going on, she was met with a mirror reflecting her own image. As Joker's daughter took in the sight of herself, two things happened. Her mind shifted, and her mask seemed to melt into her skin, becoming part of her. Now fully transformed, her jaw dropped open into a wide grin, reminiscent of a jester's. The secret of the masks was revealed. The person wearing the mask could become the character simply by seeing their own reflection. Batgirl and Robin had been partially right and wrong. It wasn't just one woman impersonating multiple villains, but rather someone transforming into them upon seeing their image. Batgirl led Joker's daughter to Robin's room. When smelling salts were waved under Robin's nose, his eyes opened to see Batgirl holding Joker's daughter. He started to ask how she had gotten hold of her, but stopped when he heard the muffled voice coming from his own mouth. Before he could say anything else, Batgirl held up a mirror. Robin saw Catwoman's daughter's image in the reflection and felt his body start to change. It wasn't actually melting, but transforming. His previously feminine form became more pronounced, with real flesh replacing the fake parts Batgirl had added. A beautiful face emerged under the cowl, and Catwoman's daughter fully embraced her new identity. Batgirl led her two new characters out of the house. Come on, ladies. The day's not over yet. We've got bigger things to handle. Since Batgirl controlled the masks, she could also control the wearers. She instructed Joker's daughter and Catwoman's daughter to get into the car and wait for further orders. Batgirl then reached into her utility belt, searching for the Bat Alert transmitter. Although she had studied the original Batgirl's gear, she still didn't know everything in the belt. After checking a few pouches, she found the alert box and a vial of knockout gas. This saved her the trouble of going back inside the house. Pressing the alert button on the box, Batgirl saw the red light flash on and felt a soft vibration, signaling that the machine was working. In the Batcave, a red light began flashing above the panel labeled with various names: Robin, Batgirl, GCPD, JLA, and UN. The light flashing indicated Batgirl's name. A loud alarm echoed, signaling to anyone in the Batcave to check the panel, but at that moment, there was no one to hear it. Both Bruce Wayne and Alfred, his butler, were upstairs at the Wayne estate. As meticulous as ever, Batman had set up a system where, if the Batcave alarm wasn't deactivated within 2 minutes, a sound resembling a phone ringing would echo through the mansion. Guests would mistake it for a phone, but Bruce and Alfred knew someone needed help. While reading in his den, Bruce heard the familiar sound, signaling him to act. He gestured to Alfred, then hurried to the hidden elevator leading to the Batcave. Once he arrived, he quickly disabled the alarm and noted the coordinates Batgirl had sent. Each time Bruce donned his Batman costume, he briefly considered that this might be the last time he would do so. Unlike his invulnerable friend Superman, Bruce was only human, frail, but with more wits and survival skills than most. His skills had kept him alive and victorious countless times over the years, and he took pride in this as he finished suiting up. The Batmobile had been remotely activated earlier, and by the time Bruce was ready, the vehicle was warmed up and all systems checked. Satisfied with its readiness, Batman put the car into gear and sped through the Batcave's tunnel at full speed. When the route was familiar, and there were no other vehicles around, Batman threw caution to the wind. In less than 30 minutes, Batman arrived at the location from which Batgirl's signal had come. The Batmobile's GPS-guided map led him straight to the spot. As he approached the house, Batman saw Batgirl standing next to a car in the driveway. The darkly tinted windows made it impossible to see the car's occupants clearly, but Batman could tell there were people inside. Batgirl gave him a thumbs up, indicating the situation was under control. Batman parked the Batmobile on the side of the road and joined her. Batgirl met him at the end of the driveway. Everything seemed calm, and there were no obvious signs of trouble. She thanked him for coming quickly and then revealed there was another reason she had triggered the alarm. "As far as you can tell, I'm Batgirl, right, Batman?" she asked. Batman, puzzled, nodded and answered simply, yes. Batgirl smiled mischievously. Well, you're in for a surprise. My real name is Duella Dent. I'm sure you're familiar with the last name. Two-Face hasn't been around for a while, but I've made my entrance in a very unique way. Watch. With that, Batgirl removed her cowl and then pulled off her red wig. For a brief moment, Duella appeared almost bald, but as she concentrated, a mask materialized and she unzipped it. Beneath the mask, Duella's own face and brown hair were revealed. Do you see, Batman? I have the ability to transform into anyone I choose, using masks I control, Duella explained. Let me show you some more of my work. Batman remained calm, sensing no immediate danger. Duella walked to the car, opened the left rear door, and gestured for the occupants to step out. Batman watched as both Joker's daughter and Catwoman's daughter emerged from the car, following Duella almost as if in a trance. As they approached Batman, Duella casually remarked, "These two have been causing trouble in the area recently." Only, they weren't exactly these two. Ladies, let's show Batman what we've been up to tonight. Batman interrupted, you mean these two troublemakers have been together all evening? I'd heard they were never seen at the same time before, which led to the belief that one person was playing both roles. Actually, Batman, you're right, Duella replied. Until tonight, that is. Turning to face Joker's daughter, Duella asked, who are you, really? Joker's daughter laughed and twisted her face into a menacing grin. I'm Joker's daughter. Who else would I be? She replied. As she turned to Batman, Duella said, now, watch this. With a swift wave of her hand over Joker's daughter's head, Duella pulled off the green fright wig to reveal what appeared to be a full white head mask. A zipper appeared, and Duella unzipped the mask, removing it. Beneath the mask, long red hair spilled over her shoulders. Batman stared in shock. Is that the real Batgirl? He asked. Yes, Batman. My mask made her believe she was Joker's daughter. Now, let me introduce you to Catwoman's daughter. Duella led the feline-like young woman in front of Batman. Tell Batman who you are, my dear, Duella instructed. The young woman hissed and meowed, puffing out her chest. I am Catgirl, daughter of Selina Kyle, the Catwoman. Don't forget it. Shall we see who's really under that cowl, Batman? Duella asked. Go ahead, take off her cowl. I'll hold her arms so she can't scratch her eyes out. Batman cautiously reached behind Catgirl's head and removed her cowl. As it came off, a beautiful young woman with long black hair glared at him. Duella made another wave, signaling for Batman to remove the wig. Astonished, Batman saw what appeared to be a very realistic female face mask underneath. Having witnessed Duella's earlier transformation with Joker's daughter, Batman unzipped the mask. As it was removed, a familiar face stared back at him. Robin? Batman exclaimed. Robin, now in the Catgirl attire, looked down at himself and said, Batman, what's going on? Duella answered as Batman stood frozen in disbelief. I initially hoped to convince the Justice League of America that my talents could be of use. That's why I set up this little demonstration. But I'm beginning to think I make a pretty good Batgirl myself. Don't you agree, Batman? I think I'll end this little charade now, and by the way, I doubt you'll be heading back to the JLA anytime soon. With a quick motion, Duella sprayed knockout gas from her utility belt directly into Batman's face. She followed up by directing the gas into the faces of her previous victims. As they all collapsed to the ground, Duella continued her statement, no, Batman. I don't think the JLA will need Catwoman on their team. Ha, ha, ha. As night fell, Duella had no concern about being seen as she carried the three unconscious figures into her house. She placed Joker's daughter back in her original room, replacing her mask and wig. She was laid on the bed, facing the mirrored ceiling. Catwoman's daughter was brought to another room, and her mask, wig, and cowl were replaced. She was seated in front of a dressing table, positioned so that the first thing she would see upon waking would be her reflection in the large mirror. Batman was moved to another room, stripped of his costume, and securely tied to a large metal chair. Duella had prepared a mask for this eventuality, though not a full costume. Surveying her materials, she decided to make adjustments. While the original Catwoman had always worn black, Duella didn't have enough black spandex. Instead, she had plenty of royal purple material, which she had used for the pants of Joker's daughter's costume. This would form the base of the new suit. As Duella worked, she made sure the chest area was emphasized, knowing it had to stand out. The zipper, which would go down the back, could be hidden by hair, so she wasn't concerned with concealing it. After 2 hours of crafting, the purple catsuit was ready. Duella returned to Batman's room with the completed costume in hand. She untied him from the chair and laid him out on the bed. Much like she had with Robin, she began feminizing Batman's body. She carefully secured and covered his lower body with panties. Then, a strong corset was wrapped around his chest and waist, the laces slowly tightened. After finishing with the corset, she flipped him onto his back. 2 large silicone inserts were placed into the corset's chest supports. Finally, she retrieved the purple catsuit. Duella didn't worry about any body hair, since no flesh would be visible, and the magic would take care of it. Duella carefully pulled the legs of the unitard over Batman's feet and up his legs. The spandex clung tightly to his muscular calves and thighs, though Duella knew this would change as the transformation progressed. It wasn't easy getting the catsuit over his chest while he remained motionless, but she managed and zipped it up. She grinned at the sight of his breasts, perfectly shaped by the chest of the unitard. Next, she slid a pair of thigh-high, stiletto-heeled black boots onto his feet and legs, zipping them into place. The arch they created was stunning, enhancing even his muscular male calves, which Duella knew would look amazing soon enough. After pulling shoulder-length black gloves onto his arms, Duella retrieved the mask she had chosen. It radiated femininity, with its perfectly shaped eyes, exquisite nose, and tiny mouth with perfect lips. Duella had once worn it in a beauty contest, though she lost to an astonishingly beautiful woman with the build of someone from Paradise Island. She carefully pulled the mask over Batman's head, zipped it shut, and placed a waist-length black wig over it. Finally, the purple cowl was pulled down over the wig and mask, its neck tucked neatly into the top of the catsuit, giving the appearance of a single, seamless costume. Stepping back to inspect her work, Duella was pleased with the results. Then, she snapped her fingers, remembering the one detail she had forgotten. She returned quickly with a 20-foot-long bullwhip, coiled it, and tucked it into the top of Batman's left boot. With her task complete, Duella put on her Batgirl mask and red wig. As she willed the transformation, the mask became her real face. She adjusted the cowl and went to check on her minions. Joker's daughter had fallen asleep, and Duella gently shook her shoulder to wake her. Catwoman's daughter was admiring herself in front of a mirror. Duella smiled at how well she was adapting to her new persona. She led both women back to Batman's room. Inside, Duella approached the figure of a royal purple-clad woman, head hanging low. She waved smelling salts under her nose, and within moments, Batman's eyes fluttered open. The first thing he saw as he opened his eyes was a large purple chest filling his vision. Then, the memory hit him. He remembered something he had heard before he had been gassed. He looked up to ask what was going on, but instead, he was met with a mirror. In the reflection, Catwoman's face stared back at him. At that moment, Batman's transformation into a woman began. His mask faded, and his body shifted into a smooth, toned, feminine form. His once muscular physique became sleek and curvy, his hands shrinking to a more delicate size with elegantly shaped fingers. The bulge in his inner thighs smoothed out, and his waist narrowed to an impossibly small figure, while his breasts grew large and firm. As the mirror dropped from view, Catwoman saw the 3 women standing around her. "Meow, it's so good to see you, Catgirl." "But why is Batgirl here with you?" she purred. Catgirl strutted over to her mother and gave her a tight hug. Batgirl smiled and said, "I just wanted to make sure you all got back together. I'll leave now, so I'm not in your way." Goodbye, ladies. Have fun. With that, Batgirl quickly left the room. I see no reason to keep you around, Jokestress, Catwoman said. If you don't have anything to add to our reunion, then leave. That's Joker's daughter to you, you oversized lioness. Joker's daughter retorted. I have no reason to stay in your presence. She turned and left, laughing all the way to the front door. Duella had given her masked subjects no specific instructions, so they were free to act on their own. She continued to wear the Batgirl persona for a while, but eventually grew bored of it. No one knows what masks the Mistress of the Masks is hiding under these days. Joker's daughter went on to create even more chaos than her predecessor, while Catwoman became infamous for her wily methods of avoiding the law. Rumors swirled that she had advanced hand-to-hand combat training, a remarkable survival instinct, and a vast network of resources. Oh, did I forget to mention? Duella made one more change to the Batman family. You see, it would have been tricky for Selina and Kitty Kyle to live in Wayne Manor, now Kyle Manor, and operate out of the Catcave with Alfred still around. So, Duella used another mask. The keeper of the house is now a cute young French maid named Antoinette. If you appreciated this story and wish to show your support, don't forget to join me on Patreon for exclusive content.